Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sunset TV. I am Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. The Lok Sabha on Tuesday passed the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill 2023. Piloting the bill, Union Home Minister and Minister of Cooperation Amit Shah said, with the passing of this bill by the House, a new era will begin in the country's cooperative movement. A quick summary of the key features of the bill that amends the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act of 2002. So it establishes the Cooperative Election Authority with a view to introduce electoral reforms in the cooperative sector. A multi-state cooperative society will now require prior permission of the government authorities before the redemption of their shareholding. The bill will allow any cooperative society to merge into an already existing MSCS. Under the old rules, only an existing MSCS could merge with another one. Also, it proposes creation of a Cooperative Rehabilitation, Reconstruction and Development Fund, which will provide financial support and assistance to struggling or distressed cooperative societies to help them recover and develop. Besides, it proposes appointment of one or more cooperative ombudsman and cooperative information officer to improve transparency, accountability, and grievance redressal within MSCS, making them more responsive to their members' needs. Now, as per the data published by the National Cooperative Union of India, there are about 8.6 lakh cooperatives in the country. How will they be strengthened? Through the various amendments that Multi-State Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill 2023 seeks to bring about. Also, how will the move help the cooperative sector in strongly contributing to the development of the country? We'll analyze all this and much more in Perspective today with distinguished guests joining us on the program. I'm pleased to welcome in the studio Mr. Vijay Kumar, Special Secretary and Central Registrar of Cooperative Societies, Ministry of Cooperation. Next to him is Mr. Yogendra Kumar, Marketing Director, IFCO. And joining us virtually are three guests, Mr. Jyotindra Mansukh Lal Mehta, President, National Federation of Urban Cooperative Banks and Credit Societies Limited, New Delhi. He's joining us from Rajkot. Dr. Hema Yadav, Director, Vaikunt Mehta, National Institute of Cooperative Management. She joins us from Pune. And Mr. D. Krishna, Advisor, National Federation of Urban Cooperative Banks and Credit Societies. He's joining us from Bengaluru. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of Perspective. Mr. Kumar, allow me to begin the program today with you. So, first of all, to help us and our viewers understand what really a multi-state cooperative society is, and secondly, very briefly, if you could take us through some of the key provisions, the changes that this bill aims to bring about.
So first, let me begin, as you said, by explaining what a multi-state cooperative society is. So in the country, there are two types of cooperative societies which have membership drawn from more than one state. They are the multi-state cooperative societies. They are also called societies with objectives confined to more than one state. So there are about 1,500 such societies. Right now, they are governed by Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act 2002. तो अभी जो नया एक्ट हमारा लोकसभा में पास हुआ है, इस एक्ट में बहुत सारे ऐसे फीचर्स हैं जो इन मल्टी स्टेट सोसाइटीज़ की रेगुलेशन को इम्प्रूव करेंगे, इस सेक्टर को स्ट्रेंथन करेंगे, इसमें ट्रांसपेरेंसी बढ़ाएंगे. द बिल हैज़ रफली अबाउट 48 clauses which can be summarized into main 6 categories. So I will touch upon some of them very briefly. For example, clauses related to election. One of the key features is to establish a cooperative election authority, which will have same powers on the same lines as Election Commission of India for cooperative elections. तो इसका क्या लाभ होगा? इसके होने से cooperative societies के election time पर होंगे, उनमें delay नहीं होगी और उनमें किसी भी प्रकार का कोई भी गलत कार्य नहीं होगा. तो it will ensure free, fair and timely elections. Second important category is about composition of board members. पहली बार ये इसमें हमने कहा है कि हर सोसाइटी के बोर्ड के अंदर कम से कम 2 वुमेन मेंबर और एक SC या ST मेंबर होगा. सो दिस विल इंश्योर रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ विमेन एंड SC एंड ST ऑन द बोर्ड ऑफ कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज़. तीसरा एक ब्रॉड कैटेगरी है हमारा स्ट्रेंथनिंग गवर्नेंस. इन सोसाइटीज़ की गवर्नेंस को स्ट्रेंथन करना, इनके प्रशासन को मजबूत करना. उसके लिए बिल के अंदर एक प्रावधान है कि हमारी जो क्रेडिट सोसाइटीज़ हैं उनके लिए सेंट्रल रजिस्ट्रार प्रूडेंशियल नॉर्म्स जारी कर सकेगा. उसका लाभ ये होगा कि ये सोसाइटी अपना फ़ंड कहाँ इन्वेस्ट करती हैं, ये सोसाइटी अपना फ़ंड कितनी मात्रा में इन्वेस्ट करती हैं, फ़ंड की सिर्फ इन्वेस्टमेंट होती है. इससे सोसाइटीज़ में होने वाले गबन जो होते हैं बड़े बड़े वो दोबारा से नहीं हो पाएंगे. इसके अलावा इनका ऑडिट मैकेनिज्म स्ट्रेंथन किया जाएगा. सोसाइटीज़ में अभी कोई नियम नहीं है कि अपने ऑडिटर कहाँ से लेकर आएंगे, पर हमारे इस एक्ट के आने के बाद में हमारे सेंट्रल रजिस्ट्रार के पैनल से ही ये सोसाइटीज़ अपने ऑडिटर चुन पाएंगी. इसके अलावा एक बड़ा ही इंपॉर्टेंट इसका जो पहलू है वो है सहकारी ओम्बड्समैन। अभी तक इन सोसाइटीज़ के मेंबर्स के पास ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल के लिए कोई साधन नहीं, कोई मार्ग नहीं है। तो जिस प्रकार से आरबीआई का ओम्बड्समैन होता है, इनकम टैक्स का ओम्बड्समैन होता है, एक सहकारी ओम्बड्समैन भी होगा, एक से अधिक भी होंगे जो इन सहकारी संस्थाओं के मेंबर्स की शिकायतों को, इनके ग्रीवेंसेस को दूर करेंगे। इसके अलावा इन सोसाइटीज़ की फंडिंग बढ़ाने के लिए इसमें ये भी प्रावधान किया गया है कि दीज सोसाइटीज़ कैन ऑल्सो इशू व्हाट वी कॉल नॉन वोटिंग शेयर्स। तो इससे इनकी कैपिटल बढ़ सकेगी। और जैसा आपने मेंशन किया, वी आर ऑल्सो क्रिएटिंग ए रिहेबिलिटेशन रिकंस्ट्रक्शन डेवलपमेंट फंड। इससे जो सोसाइटी सिक हो जाती हैं या जिनको पैसे की जरूरत पड़ती है, वो सोसाइटीज़ इस फंड को टैप कर सकेंगे। इसके अतिरिक्त इनकी मॉनिटरिंग को बढ़ाने के लिए, इन सोसाइटीज़ में और स्ट्रिक्टनेस लाने के लिए, इनमें कोई अगर कदाचार करता है, कोई गलती करता है, कोई मिस्टेक करता है या कोई गबन करता है, कोई फ्रॉड करता है, उसके लिए फाइन्स लगाए जाएंगे। उन फाइन्स की जो है लिमिट बढ़ा दी गई है। और सबसे बड़ी बात है, टू इम्प्रूव देयर ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, we have brought in a provision which says that all interaction with the society can be done electronically.
Right.
इसके लिए हम लोग अपना एक पोर्टल भी बना रहे हैं। तो सोसाइटीज़ की एप्लीकेशन, इनका रजिस्ट्रेशन, इनके बायलॉज के अमेंडमेंट सारे के सारे इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली किया जा सकेगा।
So we'll discuss how effective they will be in the times to come, but what are the kind of coordination which will be required in just a moment. But coming across to you, Mr. Kumar, you know, in India, we've seen how cooperative movement has given several important enterprises. Amul and IFFCO have been apex bodies that employ lakhs of people. Any change in this sector is going to have a significant impact on these bodies. So, you know, as a representative of IFFCO here on the panel today, how do you look at these amendments which the bill brings about? And as you know, Mr. Vijay Kumar rightly explained, there are multiple provisions that aim at bringing about transparency and accountability. Which is the most important one which you see in the times to come will bring about the most impactful change as far as the cooperative sector in India is concerned?
So, as per my opinion, we see this bill is most beneficial bill in favor of strengthening the cooperative. Ours is also a multi-state cooperative society, and it is established in 1967. And because of this cooperation and with the leadership, we are developing continuously, and this will add so many other extra things which are not present in the previous bills. So this bill will be very facilitating to all cooperatives, including my cooperative. This is full transparency, no बिना किसी भेदभाव, बिना किसी पूरी निष्पक्षता और पारदर्शिता लाने के लिए ये जो बिल आया है, ये एक बहुत बड़ा मील का पत्थर होगा और इससे सहकारिता का एक चतुर्दिक विकास संभव हो सकेगा। द ऑल राउंड डेवलपमेंट ऑफ कोऑपरेटिव्स कैन हैपन। यहाँ पे जहाँ पे व्यवस्थाएं बहुत सरल की गई हैं, यदि समिति सिक हो जाए, यानी मान लो काम करने लायक न रहे, तो उसको भी पुनः चलाने की व्यवस्था है। अम्बड्समैन की जो परिकल्पना है, किसी शिकायत को पूर्णतः निस्तारित किया जा सकता है। ढेर सारे इसमें सरलीकरण किए गए हैं, जिससे आने वाले समय में हमारी संस्था और सभी मल्टी स्टेट कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी को प्रगति का एक नया रास्ता मिलने वाला है। ये मेरा इसमें मानना है।
Okay, let me bring in the representatives from NAFCB here, Mr. Krishna and Mr. Mehta. I'll come to you one by one. Mr. Mehta, to you first. You know, the government's aim is to achieve overall prosperity of the cooperative sector through the mantra Sehkar se Samriddhi. When we look at this sector contributing to the country's development, especially in the next 25 years, what is the role that you see this bill, the reforms that it proposes, bring about?
Madam, this is really, I mean, the next Amrut Kal, 25 years, Azadi ka Amrut Kal, and cooperative had never been given any attention to this thing. And this is the first time the act has been amended and acted just to have result of Samruddhi of a common person. If you remember, Mr. Amit Shah had spoken in one speech that we can achieve $3 trillion easily. It might be we'll reach up to 5 trillion, 10 trillion also. But we don't want the common person or middle class person or garibi zyada ho jaye or disparity बढ़े. So they don't want disparity to be there in the nation. And each and every single person, अगर वो छोटा आदमी है या मध्यम वर्ग का है, they should contribute to the economy. और इकोनॉमी का जो बेनिफिट है सबको मिलना चाहिए। तो ये जो नेक्स्ट 25 ईयर्स है वो आप अगर कॉरपोरेट समझिए, कॉरपोरेट वर्ल्ड है, उसका आप हर रोज जिक्र करते हैं, उसकी चैनल चलती है, CNBC चलता है, और कोऑपरेटिव को कोई सुनता ही नहीं था। अब कोऑपरेटिव जो है वो बड़ा भी हो सकता है और छोटा भी हो सकता है। इसलिए इसमें जो एक मिस्टर विजय कुमार हैज ऑलरेडी ड्रॉन अटेंशन कि एक कैपिटल बढ़ाने का भी एक बहुत बड़ा काम किया है। नॉन वोटिंग शेयर आपको आप सब्सक्राइब करवा सकते हैं, मीन्स कैपिटल आप ऑगमेंटेशन ऑफ कैपिटल वाला जो इश्यू है वो बहुत बड़ा है। तो ऑगमेंटेशन ऑफ कैपिटल से आप बड़ी मात्रा में, बड़े पैमाने पर, बड़े स्केल पे काम कर सकेंगे। आज तक जो कोऑपरेटिव है वो या तो स्टेट सब्जेक्ट है, स्टेट कोऑपरेटिव है, या मल्टी स्टेट है। अब आप मल्टीनेशनल कोऑपरेटिव के भी कल्पना कर सकते हैं। ये मल्टीनेशनल होने वाले जो अभी अमूल और इफ्को, क्रिप्को, कैम्पको, they are exporting in huge quantity. So this will be multinational co,
Right.
and they are multinational brand also. IFCO and Amul are multinational brand. So this will empower to become big, and not only big society, but the person who has joined the society, the members, they will become big. So this is what the next 25-year plan is, and this is, so far as I should mention it here, that कोऑपरेटिव अगर जो कुछ काम करती है तो उसमें सोशल प्रॉफिट बढ़ता है तो सोशल एसेट बढ़ती है। ये कोई एक आदमी के जेब में नहीं जाता, ये कोई बड़े उद्योगपति का ये नहीं है। एक आदमी के जेब में नहीं, आज चेयरमैन कोई एक, कल चेयरमैन दूसरा होगा। ये डेमोक्रेटिक प्रोसेस है, तो किसी एक आदमी के लिए ये नहीं बना है, सबके सुविकास के लिए है। तो मैं समझता हूँ ये नेक्स्ट 25 ईयर है वो सेंचुरी ऑफ कोऑपरेटिव होगी। 25 ईयर होगा वो भी कोऑपरेटिव का होगा। और हमने 100 साल तक से, जैसे 120 साल पुरानी कोऑपरेटिव है, अब नेक्स्ट सेंचुरी का ये प्लानिंग हम कर रहे हैं।
Absolutely, and that's why there are efforts through this bill, Mr. Krishna, to not just bring about transparency and accountability, but to strengthen the cooperatives so that their contribution in the country's progress enhances with time. So when we talk about ease of doing business, that's another important driving factor behind this bill. What are the provisions that you see will ensure ease of doing business in cooperative sector?
Yeah, actually, you see, cooperative sector as such, the multi-state cooperatives, they are not very big in number, but जो multi-state cooperatives करेंगी, they show how other cooperatives can do in other states, because multi-state cooperatives are the very special type of cooperatives where members are in different states, and they generally जो है cooperatives छोटी होती हैं, there are millions of them, lakhs of them, but these are very special cooperatives जो they have succeeded in state and they have become multi-state. Now इनको जो है ease of doing business is very important for them. So things like, you know, in the amendment there is that if you apply for registration, the registration will be given in a very time bound manner.
Right.
And also, like, you know, since you can now you are in digital age, everything could be done digitally. These are ease of doing, you know, officially जो ministry की तरफ से and authorities की तरफ से, they are easing out the whole thing. So that's basically the ease of doing business. But more importantly, the Ministry of Cooperation, which is spearheading this regeneration and revival and bringing it to the center stage, their efforts will actually see that a lot of cooperatives, they maybe, you know, ease of doing business, unless you, then it's easily available to do the business. The new entrepreneurs and younger people, they will not come into the picture.
True.
And Minister has already so many times said that cooperative startups भी करनी चाहिए. So all these things point to the fact that unless we do, I mean, we see that the business is easy, registration is easy. I mean, your amendment of bylaws is easy, and you can be flexible. All these things will come about in the Multi-State Act, and if this is coming, then the states also will see, and जो मैक्सिमम कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी स्टेट्स में है वहां भी चेंज होती रहेगी.
You're right. So,
So
with a
this-
thrust on overall development, the reforms, the provisions that this bill has are inclusive in nature. They aim to bring about transparency and, most importantly, modernization, as you said, because when we talk about transparency and accountability, digital is the way to go, something that we have taken the lead in. India has taken the lead in, and this is something that we want to incorporate in the cooperative sector as well. Dr. Hema Yadav, coming to you. You know, Vamnicom has been playing an active role in strengthening the cooperative movement in our country by your training personnel in the cooperative sector. So, as director of this Center of Excellence, how do you see this bill with a range of provisions that we have just spoken about bring about empowering reforms in this sector and also make it more competitive, make it more viable, make it more multidimensional?
The multi-state cooperative society amendment bill that has come has ample lot of provisions which guides the cooperative movement for the next 25 years. It provides the much needed amendment for having governance and transparency. And it will also bring in a lot of digitalization and a multi-dimensional kind of process wherein the elections are going to be very fair. The recruitments, it lays down the rules for the recruitment and also puts some kind of a recruitment process which is going to be very fair and kind of discourages anything of having a known person or a reference person. That's a very big thing that's going to come into the cooperative sector. In my view, the most important hallmark of this bill is this, that it has a very much focus on inclusivity.
We'll come back to you, Dr. Yadav. In between, Mr. Kumar, we've spoken about the multiple provisions and the kind of impact that they're going to have on the cooperative sector. What about the National Cooperative Database? We've often heard the government talk about it. How soon can it be started? And how helpful will it be when we talk about all of these aspects that this bill promises in terms of transparency, in terms of accountability, and in terms of digitization as well?
So, this National Cooperative Database, I mean, as you mentioned at the beginning of the program, we have about 8.5 lakh cooperatives in the country. So, before this ministry was formed, there was no accurate data of where these societies are, what are they doing, what is their membership, what is their turnover. So, after the ministry was formed, under the leadership of Honorable Corporation Minister, we started working on this national database. In the first phase, we started focusing on 3 primary sector cooperatives: the PACS, the primary agriculture credit societies, the fisheries, and the dairy sector. And we have already mapped 2.5 lakh primary agricultural, dairy, and fishery societies all over the country in this database. We have further mapped more than 5 lakh societies in the remaining sectors. So we already have completed 95% of the work of this database. So this database is ready in terms of its data capturing. Now it has been made available to all the stakeholders, which means all the RCS of different states, all our federations, all our other stakeholders, all our ministries, which will help us in making policies for the cooperative sector as a whole. So right now, what we will have is an evidence-based policy where we have exact data. So this database will help us in realizing the vision of Honorable Prime Minister of prosperity through cooperation. So it will be a very, very useful tool in the hand of the ministry and in the hands of all the stakeholders.
As an apex body, Mr. Yogendra Kumar, what are the expectations from the national cooperative policy when we have one? What are the best practices that you would want the policy to incorporate?
I think the policy is decided by the government as far as the cooperative policies are concerned.
But with suggestions from all stakeholders.
Yeah, but all policies are very beneficial and in favor of the cooperative societies. You see, any of the amendment done by even now by the government of India is the most favorable amendments. एक नारा दिया सहकार से समृद्धि, वो लाने का एक सही समय आ गया है जब हम सब लोग मिलकर सहकारिता के माध्यम से इसको सुनिश्चित कर सकते हैं. इस लिहाज से अगर देखा जाए बहुत ही परिदृश्य में, विशाल परिदृश्य में, तो ये बहुत ही अनुकूल, पारदर्शी और निष्पक्षता के आधार पर जो पॉलिसीज बनाई गई हैं वो सभी के हित में है। जितने स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं सभी के हित में हैं। हम इसी पर्सपेक्टिव में देखते हैं इसको। अब देखिए हम लोगों की प्रगति भी हो रही है, बहुत नए नए काम हम लोग कर रहे हैं बड़े खुल के। हम नैनो यूरिया ला रहे हैं, नैनो DAP ला रहे हैं, सीवीड एक्सट्रैक्ट ला रहे हैं, बहुत सारी चीज़ें नई नई हम लोग कर रहे हैं समाज के लिए, किसान के लिए, देश के लिए और सहकारी समितियों के लिए। बहुत सारी सहकारी समितियों को भी व्यवसाय मिलता है, बहुत सारे सदस्य उससे लाभान्वित होते हैं। तो इस तरीके से बहुत सारे काम हम लोग लगातार कर रहे हैं और ये केवल इसमें सबसे बड़ी प्रेरणा है माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की और नेतृत्व है माननीय अमित शाह गृह एवं सहकारिता मंत्री जी का। तो ये एक अच्छा काम हुआ है, हम सबको इसका स्वागत करना चाहिए। और हमें जो पॉलिसीज़ नई बनाई हैं इसमें जो अच्छे काम करने वाले लोग हैं उनको बहुत ऊपर तक वो उठ सकते हैं, उनको कोई भी लिमिट नहीं है। कितना ही काम करो, अच्छा काम करो और ठीक से लोगों की सेवा करो। सहकारी समितियां एक मूल भावना है, अपने सदस्यों की सेवा के लिए हैं। उनको सेवा योग्य बनाए रखना सदस्यों, संचालकों, चेयरमैन और सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स की जिम्मेदारी है। तो ये एक सही समय है सभी के ऊपर छोटे मोटे पारदर्शिता के आधार पर चीज़ों को सचेत करने का। ऑडिट का प्रावधान किया गया है, ऑडिटर कहाँ से आएगा उसकी व्यवस्था की गई है। कोई अगर आपकी शिकायत है तो उसके निस्तारण की व्यवस्था की गई है। अगर आप कहीं बीमार हो जाते हैं तो कुछ स्वस्थ करने की व्यवस्था की गई है। जो भी आवश्यक कदम हो सकते हैं संभव, वो सभी सरकार ने उठाए हैं इस बिल के माध्यम से। और ये जो सहकारिता की नई पॉलिसी बनी है वो सभी के हित में है। और एक माहौल बना है अभी सहकारिता के माध्यम से उन्नति करने का। अभी हमारे सहकारिता मंत्रालय ने बहुत सारे सुधार के नए एक एजेंडा पेश किया है जिसमें सभी स्तर की सहकारिताओं को मदद मिलने वाली है।
Dr. Hema Yadav, you were talking about the representation of weaker and marginalized sections, how this policy makes it more inclusive for women as well. So how significant is it going to be towards empowering the cooperative sector? That's something that you were talking about. If you would like to finish your point, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll continue with this. What I was trying to say is that inclusivity is the hallmark of this policy, where the policy reaches out to the women to be represented on the board as the directors. And this is going to be a very kind of encouraging for the women cooperatives to be able to participate in the cooperatives in decision-making process. And they can bring in a new perspective in the cooperative by bringing a kind of an entrepreneurial kind of some communications in the cooperative sector. One, the weaker sector also gets represented on the board. Either a member from the SC or ST gets a representation. You know, the cooperatives, as the other panel members were saying, is all about members, you know. And as the country is growing in a social and economical way, we are also seeing a demographic change. And the policy has to have this inclusivity with the weaker sections. There's adequate provisions for the weaker sections to come on board and play a decisive role. And this encourages the people at the bottom of the pyramid to be aligned to the cooperative sector, as the cooperative sector would always have this kind of principles to have this member centrality. As long as we are serving the members, the cooperative sector would go ahead.
Yes.
And also the provisions which relate to the transparency, the governance, and also puts in a robust system of mechanism is going to bring in a lot of development changes. And you can really track the changes. You can bring in some kind of positive changes which are now enshrined in the National Cooperation Policy, which would be coming up very soon. Coming to the education training part, as the Institute, National Institute of Cooperative Management, caters to the needs of training and information and education. The Cooperative Education Fund, which was already there in the previous in the MSCS, but now there's an adequate focus that you can have this fund to have this education for the members. You can have funds to educate the members of the board, and the other people are the startups, the entrepreneurs. So more in training and education and bringing youth through the education would be one endeavor of the institution to kind of take, the help of their provisions, which are so enabling, which are so vibrant. And
rightly so, when the
like
Prime Minister keeps asserting that youth are going to
be
be the drivers of the change that we want to see in the next 25 years. Coming back to one of the key provisions in this bill, Mr. Vijay Kumar, and that's something that we had been talking about, we began with, the appointment of a cooperative ombudsman. Now, we've seen how ombudsmen have been appointed in different departments in the past as well. But in the cooperative sector, what is going to be the role, the powers, the adjudication powers of the ombudsman, and how is it going to strengthen governance is going to be one question as well, which is going to be asked.
So, ombudsman is one of the key features of this bill. And as per the provision of the bill, government can appoint one or more ombudsmen who will have territorial jurisdiction in respect of cooperatives. So the basic idea is अगर cooperatives के members की कोई समस्या है, उनकी कोई grievance है, जो cooperatives address नहीं कर पा रही हैं, they can approach their respective ombudsman by filing an application. That ombudsman will have powers to enforce attendance, powers to call for documents. It will be an empowered body. This ombudsman will decide the application within a time-bound manner. It can give direction to the society for disposal of the grievance. It can award costs. It can award fines. It can award lot of things. And in case the member is not satisfied with the decision of the ombudsman, he also has the option to go to the Central Register of Cooperative Societies in appeal. Same option is also with the societies. इसके अलावा हमारे एक कंसेप्ट और भी है इस बिल के अंदर कोऑपरेटिव इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफिसर का, जो आरटीआई के आधार पे बनाया गया है, जिसमें मेंबर सोसाइटी के इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफिसर के पास जाके इंफॉर्मेशन मांग सकते हैं. उस केस में भी अगर मान लीजिए कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं मिलती है या कोई मेंबर सेटिस्फाइड नहीं है उस इन्फॉर्मेशन से, ही हैज़ द ऑप्शन टू गो टू द कोऑपरेटिव ओम्बड्समैन टू फाइल एन अपील. सो ओम्बड्समैन कैन एड्रेस टू काइंड ऑफ इश्यूज. एक जहाँ पे मेंबर की ग्रीवेंस है जो एड्रेस नहीं हुई है, दूसरा जहाँ मेंबर को इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं मिली है.
Okay, so time allows me to take up just one last comment from you, Mr. Mehta. We were talking about how crucial the role of the cooperative sector is going to be in terms of contributing to the country's development in the next 25 years, as you rightly put forth your views in the first answer. But the question here is, we've spoken about these provisions which aim at overall holistic development of the sector. But in terms of strengthening the sector furthermore, what are the other efforts that require to be taken? What is the thrust area going to be apart from this bill that has been brought about, apart from the database and the policy that we have just spoken about?
Madam, I would like to remind you the speech of Amit Shah just last week. छोटी सी छोटी जो इकाई है कोऑपरेटिव की, वो है पैक्स, प्राइमरी एग्रीकल्चर क्रेडिट सोसाइटी. वो एक छोटे से गांव में, गांव जिसकी बस्ती 2000 की है, ओनली दी एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट, सब किसान उससे जुड़े हुए हैं. ये पैक्स जो है उनको स्ट्रेंथन करना है. अमित शाह ने जो कहा कि ये सिर्फ क्रेडिट का काम नहीं करेगी, ये गैस वितरण भी करेगी, ये पेट्रोल पंप भी चलाएगी, ये भंडारण की व्यवस्था भी करेगी. यानी 2000 की बस्ती वाली जो पैक्स है वो इतना बड़ा काम करेगी और उसका रिजल्ट जो है वो छोटे छोटे किसान को मिलने वाला. दिस इज व्हाट आई मीन द विजन इज. मैं आपको और भी बात बताऊं कि जो ये छोटे लोगों तक कोऑपरेटिव का रिजल्ट है जाना, बड़े का भी जो सरकार ने अभी 3 कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी बनाई है, वो लैक्स ऑफ रुपीस का इन्वेस्टमेंट करके कोऑपरेटिव के माध्यम से इफ्को, क्रिप्को और अमूल की जो हम बात करते हैं, ऐसी बड़ी सोसाइटी जो होने वाली है, दे विल डील विद द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम और बहुत बड़ा काम करने वाले हैं.
All right, we'll have to stop at that. Time allows me to take up only that much on the discussion today. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of Perspective, sharing your thoughts, your views with us and our viewers. And to you viewers, thank you very much for your time as well. I'll see you same time tomorrow now. Take good care of yourselves. Keep watching Sunset TV.